I grew up loving comic books. As a child of the 80s, I'd seen a lot of American cartoons and Japanese anime, but comic book characters were entirely different. Every character's appearance artistically reflected some of their backstory in a way that no human character ever could. The Hulk is a green-skinned mountain of muscle because Bruce Banner was caught in a gamma explosion. Storm is an African woman with naturally white hair and blue eyes who is superhumanly beautiful. No normal person could ever look like her, but she isn't a normal person. She's a mutant. Comic book characters have always been as diverse as the artist's imagination. Jim Lee, Whilce Portacio, Mark Silvestri, Dale Kuhn, J. Scott Campbell, Jim Ballant, and Alex Ross were comic book artists who became legends in the industry. Then fighting games exploded onto the scene. Street Fighter II featured cartoonishly muscled characters who could jump 10 feet and throw fireballs from their hands. They were detailed comic book characters you could control. And then King of Fighters came out right after. Not only were the characters cartoonish, but they were stylish and flashy. None of these fighting game characters are human, not in the sense that you and I are. I wanted to bring some of that stylization into 3D photorealism. Within the universe of The Last Tier, which is the fictional universe Monster Hunt is set in, there are different classes of beings. There are naturals, which are your run-of-the-mill humans. There are supernaturals, vampires and werewolves, for example. There are demigods, who can look anywhere from human to completely inhuman. And finally, you have your gods, who don't look remotely human at all. For me, photorealism is the best way to make characters who are absurd look realistic. Marvel did a fantastic job of portraying Thanos in the MCU. He looks huge next to the other characters because he is huge. In fact, in the comics, he weighs 985 pounds. While Chris Hemsworth is an amazing Thor, he isn't accurate to comic book Thor, who stands 6'6" and weighs 640 pounds. My artistic inspiration derived from comic books and gaming drove me to photorealistic animation. It's the perfect medium to relate the story I want to tell because it realistically contrasts fantasy characters with normal humans. While none of the characters will look as cartoonish as some fighting game characters, the demigods often look different than humans. How different they look from humans is entirely dependent on the story. My conviction is photorealism is the best medium for the fantasy sci-fi genre. I just hope we get the financing to prove it, and we can share all of our characters and their stories with you. Thanks for your time and support.